Is Bane a dark reflection of who Bruce could have become if he'd followed a different path? Does Alfred really see Bruce in Florence? We're here to shed some light on the finer points of The Dark Knight Rises. Picking up 8 years after The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan's third installment introduces us to a mostly peaceful Gotham City, a tormented Commissioner Gordon, and a reclusive Bruce Wayne, who stopped being Batman after framing himself for Harvey Dent's murder. But after cat burglar Selina Kyle steals Bruce's mother's pearls and the mercenary Bane arrives and recruits the young men of Gotham to his cause to tear down the city, Bruce dons a cape and cowl once more. Only this time, he fails. After Bane breaks his back, Bruce is taken to a Middle Eastern prison to watch from afar as a former League of Shadows member dismantles Gotham from within. Separating the city from the mainland, Bane turns Gotham into a no-man's land ruled by the people. Of course, that's all a mirage, as Bane's men are parading a nuclear bomb throughout the city with a mysterious triggerman at the ready. With Batman away, Detective John Blake, a man who had previously deduced Batman's secret identity, steps up to help defend Gotham in the Dark Knight's absence. But one cop and an underground resistance aren't enough. As Bruce heals, he eventually succeeds in escaping from the prison and returning to Gotham for a rematch with his latest nemesis, even if it means his death. By the time Bruce returns to Gotham, the nuclear weapon is deteriorated to the point where it's set to detonate any day. Alongside his allies, Gordon, Blake, and Selina Kyle, who has since repented of her own role in all of this, Batman takes to the streets with an army of Gotham police officers to take back the city from Bane and his men. The Gotham police force overpowers Bane's men, while Batman disarms Bane and demands the trigger.
Where's the trigger? Where is it?
Only Bane doesn't have it. As it turns out, Bruce's one-time lover and Wayne Enterprises ally Miranda Tate is the real mastermind behind Bane's plot. Unbeknownst to Batman, Tate's real name is Talia al Ghul, making her the daughter of Bruce's former mentor, Ra's al Ghul. After Talia betrays Bruce, Selina rescues the Caped Crusader and helps him track down the nuclear weapon. Batman takes it upon himself to fly the warhead out into the Atlantic Ocean and allow it to detonate far away from the people of Gotham. As the city honors Batman, Lucius Fox, Alfred Pennyworth, Jim Gordon, and John Blake honor Bruce's sacrifice. But as it turns out, Bruce didn't die after all. After handing the keys to the Batcave over to Blake, Bruce and Selina relocate to Italy, where Alfred watches from afar. The last-minute reveal that Miranda Tate is actually the daughter of Bruce's original mentor turned nemesis threw many for a loop. Throughout the film, a story is told about a child born in a Middle Eastern prison, the child of Ra's al Ghul, who climbs up and out of the pit. For a long time, the movie leads one to believe that Bane is the child. Longtime DC Comics fans likely saw this twist coming. The most prominent child of Ra's al Ghul in the Batman comics is Talia, who also happens to be Bruce's on-again, off-again lover. In fact, aside from having led the League of Assassins, an alternate name for the League of Shadows, Talia is also the mother of Batman's son, Damian Wayne, the current Robin. Of course, in The Dark Knight Rises, Bruce and Talia only spend one night together, and their passion doesn't result in a pregnancy. Though Talia isn't mentioned directly in Batman Begins, the first of Nolan's trilogy alludes to Ra's al Ghul having a family of his own. No wonder that Talia would eventually return to enact revenge on the Caped Crusader, who she holds responsible for her father's death. From the moment Bruce is first robbed by Selina, he becomes immediately infatuated with the elusive cat burglar. In a way, Selina is the one who inspires Bruce to become Batman once again, and she's by his side when he first confronts Bane. Sure, she betrays him in the process, but all sins are forgiven when she sides with Batman post-Revolution. No wonder these two end up together in the end, each bringing out the best in the other.
Like your girlfriend, Mr. Wayne.
He should be so lucky.
Though Bruce spends much of the Dark Knight trilogy pining after his childhood friend Rachel Dawes, the revelation that she'd moved on before her death opens a door for a budding romance with Catwoman. More in line with the relationship between the two in the original DC Comics, The Dark Knight Rises makes Catwoman a bit more three-dimensional and complicated than previous incarnations. While it may seem strange that Bruce and Selina end up together, it's worth noting that they both bring much-needed excitement to each other's lives, and while they come from vastly different backgrounds, they quickly learn to better understand the other. No wonder Matt Reeves played on this again in Batman's next solo outing, 2022's The Batman. Christian Bale's Batman certainly has an exciting rogues gallery. Scarecrow is a constant thorn in Gotham's side. Ra's al Ghul nearly destroyed the Wayne family legacy, and Two-Face sent the Caped Crusader underground. Of course, few would disagree that the Joker was the most impressive and most deranged criminal that the Dark Knight ever encountered.
You have nothing to threaten me with.
nothing to do with all your strength.
However, Bane breaks our hero like no other. Not only does he crush Bruce's body, but also his soul. He would have broken Batman's spirit too had our hero not risen above his pain. In many ways, Tom Hardy's Bane is a dark mirror of what Bale's Batman could have easily become. Likewise trained by Ra's al Ghul as a member of the League of Shadows, Bane's desire is to see Gotham burn to the ground so that it can be restored, completely motivated by Talia's drive for vengeance. In Batman Begins, Bruce felt a similar pull and nearly killed the man who killed his own parents. He actually might have pulled the trigger if someone else hadn't done it first. Instead, Bruce ends up taking the path of the hero, hoping to inspire others to be the same. Of course, Bane inspires a group of loyal followers too. He even incites many of Gotham's citizens to turn on one another, exposing the city's darkest secrets and challenging the status quo. If it seems like Batman and Bane work from the same playbook, it's because they do. They each use what Ra's al Ghul taught them, which makes Bane all the more dangerous.
Pure evil. I'm necessary evil.
One of the biggest debates among fans is whether or not Alfred's encounter from afar with Bruce and Selina at the very end of the film is real or in reference to director Christopher Nolan's previous hit Inception, only a vision of what might have been. The case for it being nothing more than a daydream is a compelling one at first glance. There's no way that Batman could have survived that nuclear explosion, right? When would he have jumped out of the bat? Did Alfred just imagine it all? Of course, there are actual answers to these questions. For starters, the movie explains that Bruce fixed the bat's autopilot off-screen, which would have allowed him to bail long before the explosion. There's also the fact that his mother's pearls are missing from Wayne Manor, pearls which Selina had grown accustomed to. We also know that Bruce knows about Alfred's yearly pilgrimage to Florence, so it seems that Bruce wants his surrogate father to know that he is okay, all without saying a word. Lending his thoughts, Christian Bale believes that Bruce's happy ending was genuine. He explained to Entertainment Weekly, "I find it very interesting, and with most films, I tend to say it's what the audience thinks it is. My personal opinion? No, it was not a dream. That was for real, and he was just delighted that finally he had freed himself from the privilege, but ultimately the burden of being Bruce Wayne." Speaking of Alfred, it seems odd to many that Bruce's surrogate father would leave just when he needs him most.
Goodbye, Alfred.
Sure, Bruce tells him to, but we never imagine he'll actually abandon Batman. Though all is forgiven by the end of the movie, it's still strange that Alfred isn't involved in Batman's last stand. But when you consider how much Alfred has had to tolerate over the years and how much he cares about Bruce, it may just make sense after all. The question of what Bruce has to give to be Batman hangs over the entire trilogy. But Rises finally addresses how much Alfred is willing to give to help with Bruce's quest. Christian Bale reflected to Empire in 2020. Alfred asks, "How long is this gonna go on for? It's not gonna be forever, is it?" That to me has always been fascinating about Bruce Wayne. And it's no secret, in The Dark Knight Rises, we come back to the original ideas of what's happening in here. It circles back. What Bale means is that Alfred has always wanted what was best for Bruce. He just didn't believe that Batman is it. He always supported Bruce's efforts to defend Gotham, but never at the expense of Bruce himself. Turns out that going up against Bane is too much for Alfred to handle, though he regrets leaving by the end. At the very end of the movie, it's revealed that John Blake's legal first name is actually Robin. A clever surprise and nice nod to Batman's longtime comic book partner. Of course, there have been a plethora of Robins over the years, and in many ways it seems as if Blake is a sort of amalgamation of a few of them. An agile orphan like Dick Grayson, an angry street kid like Jason Todd, and a skilled detective who deduces Batman's secret identity like Tim Drake. Blake fills the role of Batman's sidekick to a T. When the movie ends, Blake joins a long-standing Robin tradition of graduating from the Dark Knight's sidekick to becoming the Dark Knight himself. All three of the aforementioned Robins have become Batman at some point in the comics, and others, such as Damian Wayne, may do the same in the future. As Rises ends, Blake locates the Batcave and is ushered into Bruce's old life, set to take his mentor's place as a hero Gotham deserves. While we won't ever get to see Blake's version of Batman hit the streets, director Christopher Nolan leaves his Dark Knight saga open-ended on purpose to keep the legend of Batman alive. While it's unclear if Blake will become the next Batman himself or forge his own superhero identity, Gotham is no doubt safer in his hands. The initial trailer for The Dark Knight Rises splices a philosophical quip from Ra's al Ghul with clips from the first two installments of the trilogy, which ultimately sums up the underlying message of the entire thing. If you make yourself more than just a man, if you devote yourself to an ideal, you become something else entirely. A legend, Mr. Wayne. In Batman Begins, Bruce constructs the legend of Batman. He trains his body and his mind to become the crime fighter that Gotham needs, even if he's not the hero they deserve, and saves his city by thwarting Ra's al Ghul's plan and killing him in the process. Batman becomes a living myth who inspires Gothamites everywhere. And by the Dark Knight, Batman has fully established himself, even inspiring hockey pad-wearing copycats and theatrical criminals like the Joker to come out of the woodwork and make their own mark on Gotham.
This town deserves a better class of criminal, and I'm gonna give it to him.
By the time Rises ends, Gotham finally recognizes what the Dark Knight has done for them and honors him in the form of a statue. But that's not all. Blake's decision to take on Bruce's mantle, paired with the repairing of both the Bat Signal and the Bat's autopilot, keeps the legend of Batman alive, even after Bruce Wayne dies. Ultimately, Batman lives on, and that was always the point.